So, Preston, we have some news coming out the pipeline for Ice and Fire related shows. It turns out 2026 is going to be a very, very good year if you're a Game of Thrones Ice and Fire fan. In January, according to HBO CEO Casey Bolas, we are getting A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, The Hedge Knight, the Dunk and Egg story, and later that year, in the summer of 2026, we're getting Hot D Season 3, which is a lot of stuff, and I should be happy about it, but I'm a little hesitant to be happy about it. I don't know.
It feels a little crowded, right?
It feels a little crowded, and the reason I'm hesitant to be so excited about this is because of what happened with Star Wars. We had way too many Star Wars shows and Marvel shows. Way too many Star Wars and Marvel shows. Granted, it was Disney trying to fill their Disney Plus catalog with stuff, which, okay, but I don't know, yeah, I'm excited for both shows coming back, for House of the Dragon coming back and for Dunk and Egg, of course, but also the oversaturation of the franchise. It's new territory for HBO, and I'd rather have quality over quantity, and maybe I'm overreacting a little bit, and that would be fair to say, and people have said to me, come on, man, more shows mean more money for you, and sure, but also I'd rather they be strategic and careful with Ice and Fire adaptations going forward after what happened with the, last season of House of the Dragon, especially the second half. Me making money is great. I love that. But I would rather have a good series of shows than more money. That's kind of where I am.
Look, Dunk and Egg, Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, The Hedge Knight, Game of Thrones, Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, The Hedge Knight, should have been out now. It should have been out the autumn, right? And then they delayed it. And so it coming out January, this is after the delay. So I think we can perhaps count on that actually happening January or February or such. So it looks like the Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is finally coming. That's great source material. Looks fantastic. We found out that the episodes are only half an hour each rather than a full hour. Because before we were both scratching our heads, going, "How are they going to fill 6 hours of entertainment with this short story?" Now that we find out that it's only 3 hours and they're 30-minute episodes, that makes a lot more sense. Now, I have high hopes. I have high hopes for Dunk and Egg. I think it's going to be, I'm being really optimistic. I think it's going to be good. We've said this a million times. The only thing is, how are they going to end episodes 1, 2, at 4 and 5, where there's not a very good ending point. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how they do. So I'm optimistic about A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. Meanwhile, House of the Dragon, June, I feel like that's going to be delayed. Until August. They'll be able to, spread everything out and then, have a little more space between it and A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. Then it's a long time. I think they're thinking that Dunk and Egg is small and short that it doesn't count or something, and the House of the Dragon is their bread and butter, or something. You keep in mind that you and I are not in the same sort of mindset as of a lot of normies out there. I know people that seriously, I've met people that say, "Oh, I've got to get a new TV so I can watch House of the Dragon properly on a big screen." And I'm like, "Oh, you watch stuff on big screens? You don't have a tablet or your laptop?" I thought that's just how everyone watched stuff. And they're like, "No, no, they have a TV and they want it set up for a big theater experience, and some people still have cable and stuff like that. So I don't, where they get HBO. And so I think people probably are excited about House of the Dragon and aren't really thinking about Dunk and Egg. I think at least me, probably both you and me, are a little backwards, right? So, and that we're looking forward to Knight of the Seven Kingdoms more.
The reason I'm worried about again, Dunk and Egg and Hot D season 3 all coming at the same time is because I'm worried about the oversaturation of the series. You're right, that Dunk and Egg is kind of like, it doesn't even feel like a real show because we're so used to shows being an hour, 45 minutes to 50 minutes long. We're so used to that from HBO, and here you have something that's like 20 minutes, 23 minutes per episode. It doesn't feel like a real show, and I'm sure it'll go by very, very quickly. But I'm just a little afraid coming off the Disney Plus stuff with Star Wars and Marvel. It's like,
I mean, by comparison, you remember how I timed that Arya sweeping scene at the beginning of that House of the Black and White episode, and it was seriously like 10 minutes. Like she sweeps the floor for like 10 minutes, and you're like,
Preston, she did not sweep the floor for 10 fucking minutes. There's no shot. They spent 10 minutes on that. There's no way.
It was really fucking long. I'll have to go back and check, but it was. I mean, I have a thing on it where I make a comment on the exact time in one of my videos. I just can't remember which one. But man, it was a really, really long time where she's sweeping.
You know why that bothers me? Because that's later. I'm pretty sure that's season 5 or 6.
I think it's season 5. Yeah,
season 5. And the reason that bothers me is because in the first season, they had to fill time. And the reason we got that Robert Cersei scene I love so much is because they literally needed to fill time. And they came up with one of the best scenes in all of television. And now, season 5, in order to fill time, it's just Arya fucking sweeping and doing nothing. And just, more Sam and Gilly scenes, which I really fucking hated.
Right, I mean, there was a lot of that, like people sitting around the table, like eating, staring at each other when they should be talking. And it's like, you've got so much to talk about. Let's talk.
Here's the thing, though. I would feel a little better if Dunk and Egg were a little more than 30 minutes each episode, because they could add quite a bit of stuff. I know a lot of people want them to stay faithful and just add exactly what's on paper to screen. That's fair, and we've seen before when they don't do that, but we've also seen before when they don't do that and it works out very well. So
yeah. Like I mean, I'm not a person who really gets bent out of shape when you deviate from the source material. Like I say, like if it's good, it's good. It's bad, it's bad. Though, I mean, Dunk and Egg is really good, but I'm saying like that the deviation is probably like, how do you get those ending points in? But I can understand that it's a really good story, but it may not match pacing wise to the screen. So we'll see.
And in regards to George being at Comic-Con to present Dunk and Egg, are we putting bets on if he's going to announce a new Dunk and Egg story?
He's not gonna have another Dunk and Egg story.
He could. Honestly, if he really wanted to be the greatest guy ever, he could really announce, like, he's written literally like dozens upon dozens of paragraphs of him bitching about the legs on dragons and heraldry and all that shit. He could put that much effort into writing the Village Hero story, a couple pages at tops. That's a whole season right there, a couple episodes. He could actually knock it out really quickly if he wanted to. A self-contained story, The Village Hero, self-contained. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised when he wrote early this year. I think he wrote in January or February that he needed to go and write The Village Hero. The Village Hero would chronologically take place third. In between the Sword and she, no, I'm sorry. It would chronologically take place fourth, after the Mystery Knight and, or maybe, now I'm forgetting. Fuck. Yeah, no, the Village Hero could take place, after the Mystery Knight and before, She-Wolves of Winterfell. I'm forgetting now, but I think it's actually after the Sworn Sword and before the Mystery Knight, the Village Hero. But because he's got to like wander in the Riverlands or something, like the thing is that here's the thing about the stories. Like the Mystery Knight clearly ends with a setup for She-Wolves of Winterfell. They mention the North. They mention that the Ironborn are attacking. And so they say like, we're going to head north. And so it's a little weird to be like, all right, next episode, we're going to be in Winterfell. And then the next story is the village hero. So I think it would take place between the Sworn Sword and the Mystery Knight. But so he would have to write it before season 3 comes out. And for the village hero to be third. It's got to be, so he would have to write it. He would have to write it within the next, because they're already doing scripts and preparing for season 2. So he would have to write it within a year, or
Well, there's also another story that I guess we could touch on in season 2, which would be Duncan Egg's adventures in Dorne, because in the Sworn Sword, don't they talk about that they were in Dorne for a brief time?
Yes, actually, I mean, but we know that's not going to happen. But yes, so plot-wise, the Hedge Knight, the first story, the Hedge Knight, ends with them saying, hey, we're going to go to Dorne. And it's like, oh, yeah, really? There's puppets there. And then the next installment, the Sworn Sword, they're in the Reach. So they've already done their Dornish adventure. But yeah, that's not going to happen. He doesn't have enough time. And he hasn't said... He mentioned that like it's been like over 10 years since he mentioned the Dornish adventure. And that was kind of maybe I could go back and do that. I could write the Dornish adventure. But meaning it was like low on the totem pole of Duncan Egg stories. Which, so no, he's not going back for the Dornish adventure. Like 0% chance of the Dornish adventure ever being put to page and put to screen. But because they're already working on the Sworn Sword, they've already moved on.